Welcome to Synthaholics. This is your host, David Duncan, and with me is the illustrious,
Brian,
the
the
illustrious Brian.
illustrious.
Yeah,
Whoa,
yeah, you're
the undulating Brian.
undulating Brian.
Hello, David.
Hey,
Hello, David. Are we just gonna shake the whole time?
yeah,
That's new. This is how we're gonna
It's
podcast
it's a space movie. We gotta.
around.
We're on the bumpy space road.
Yes. We're hitting meteors.
We're hitting meteors. We're hitting space potholes and leaving space tracks.
Yeah, we are.
That's what happens when you use liquid
We're
sports.
not even gonna talk about anything. We're just gonna do this the whole time. Like we're on a road trip. No talking.
Oh, like the Penn and Teller's road trip simulator that actually takes like 9 hours to drive from like wherever to Las Vegas, like on a bus. And
I don't know what you're talking about.
It's a video game that takes it's got really bad graphics, but it takes like actually 9 hours to drive a bus over a straight road. But if you leave, it'll like veer off to the side and crash, and you have to start over again.
Really?
Yeah.
I feel like this is something I need to check out. Unironically, I probably will look this up now. I can't take a road trip in real life because I don't like driving. So I'll take one in the video.
It's like a 16-bit looking game, I think, where you're just driving across the desert for 9 hours.
Can't see it. Our eyes don't go past 16-bit anyway, so I don't know what's the difference. That's how I see everything. I don't know if that's what you see, but I thought everything was 16-bit.
Everything looks like Chrono Trigger.
Yes, exactly.
My hair's all pointy.
There's just like 2 spikes.
Yeah.
Oh,
all
man.
right. So I just woke up an hour ago due to schedule changing. So I don't remember what I was talking about for news today. But as soon as Brian mentions something, I'm sure I will be like, "Oh yeah, I remember that."
All right. Are you ready for the first piece? That you'll be like, "Oh yeah, that's right."
I'm ready for Brian to jog my memory. Cheers.
Golem game.
What, they made a game about Smeagol? I can't wait to play this. I
Yeah.
can't wait.
Wait, you were excited? Okay, don't
Smeagol's
even.
my favorite character.
Joke around that you were excited to play this. Nobody wanted this from the day it was announced.
Smeagol?
It was announced, and everybody was like, "Ugh."
Smeagol, what is it called? Smeagol, wicked game developers hates us.
Oh gosh. Yeah, so the game came out this week, the week, that we're filming, and it's not getting good reviews, which is surprising.
Because Gollum's the best character ever invented.
Everything they showed up until the game released, it looked solid. It looked like it was going to be 10 out of 10. There wasn't one doubt I had. And then the game released, and the graphics are really bad. There's technical problems. The story's bad. You're just doing chores. I don't know what happened, but like everything up until then, I was gonna give up by the game. That's what I was gonna do.
It's the Gollum fetch quest game plus stealth simulator, and Gollum's only attack is like a sneak attack where he strangles people. But if they wear a helmet or a hat, you cannot strangle them.
Well, of course.
If they have something on their head, you cannot strangle them for whatever reason. Also,
it's protecting.
Also, elves are strangle proof whether or not they have helmets or hats on.
Did you know that if you buy the like digital deluxe edition, they'll speak
Andy
proper
Serkis
lore?
will come over to your house and slap you.
What?
If you buy the extended edition or the special edition,
No,
Andy Serkis comes to your house and slaps you for buying this game.
I mean, I would buy it then. If that's what if that was, I mean, who wouldn't buy it then?
I want to be assaulted by Andy Serkis.
Is this canon? Do we know if this is canon? I don't know if it's canon. Do you know if it's canon?
Smeagol delivering flowers to prisoners is totally canon.
Is it?
Oh, it's not.
I don't know if it's canon or not.
There's no way this is canon. I mean, it's about as canon as Rings of Power.
Well, is that canon?
No, it's not. It breaks all canon.
Who decides if it's canon or not?
WB, and WB didn't make Rings of Power, therefore it's not canon.
Therefore, not canon. Yeah, if you buy the digital deluxe or whatever the heck the collector's edition is, the elves go from speaking English to speaking like their native tongue, whatever.
Quenya, probably.
Yeah. You gotta pay $10 extra to hear the real lore, which is always exciting. It's like locked.
It's like, man, I'm gonna pay $10 extra so I can hear people speak in a language I can't understand, and I have to read the subtitles versus
I
just
mean,
hearing them speak.
honestly, if you were excited for this game and you're gonna buy it regardless, you might as well go for the digital deluxe edition. Just go all out. This is one that you should just go all out, even though this game is a $60 game, which that's kind of surprising. But it is a $60 game, so you might as well just go get your $70 and go buy Gollum game. David, are you gonna buy Gollum?
Absolutely not.
Well, if it's $1.
No.
Okay, so this is just off the table for you.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Like, if I got it in a humble bundle, I wouldn't install it.
Okay, so you would buy it then?
Well, that's not. If it was, I'm not buying it. I'm buying a humble bundle, and if I'm buying a humble bundle, I'm like buying a game I want in the humble bundle. And if it just happens to have Gollum in it, I'm not gonna boycott the humble bundle for having Gollum in it. But I may not. But I may not. I may not even redeem the code.
Okay, well, no boycotting the humble bundle. They're being humble. You're being humble about it. I get it.
I like humble. I like humble bundles. I mean, they haven't had any good ones that I've been into this year, but you know,
here we are. All right. Well, that's the. Yeah, that is true. That is true. Sony had their state of play this past week as well. There's only really 3 games that I kind of cared about. There was Phantom Blade Zero, which looked like a cool like ninja something game. Don't know much about it. I don't know. It's probably going to be on PC.
Well, I mean,
so I'll buy it.
The whole state of play was a dumpster fire because they didn't show Stellar Blade.
All right. Well, that's what it is for David. I know some people are like, it's like a mixed. People are like, because they didn't show off like any of their first party studios, but like I'm not like I thought it was fine. Like they showed like I'm not like wow this was an awful state of play. I can't imagine it being any worse.
I did not watch. I just watched the trailers. I was interested after the fact. So the state of play, I've seen videos of people being like, "WTF was that state of play?" And I'm like, I mean, the little bit I saw was fine. Like, I mean. Granted,
well, people are upset that their first party studios weren't there, like Sucker Punch or Naughty Dogs or anything.
Well, that's fine because I mean
we know they're working on stuff.
It doesn't matter because like everything Microsoft shows off has been terrible lately. They didn't show off Hi-Fi Rush, so Hi-Fi Rush came out okay, but Redfall they were showing previews and whatnot. That Redfall. Sure. How did they show Redfall that worked in the previews? That's what I want to know. Like, what were they showing them in previews?
They made a custom level for it, probably, or something.
Like a vertical slice that worked perfectly. Like it just
yeah. Because they made like a 10-minute chunk that was just perfect, and it was like the way it was supposed to be. Because they didn't have time. That's where all the dev time went. Just to that 10-minute gameplay section.
That vertical slice, that's amazing. Because I mean, like they couldn't have been showing the actual game because the actual game is just in the abysmal state.
Yes. Well, you win some, you lose some. Again. So, Final Fantasy 16 is coming out. I'm pretty excited for this game. This is one of my more anticipated games of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Can't wait for it to come out. I'll probably buy it day one. I've been excited since they announced it.
Final Fantasy 16 is a weird thing for me. Like, I want it because it's a Final Fantasy game, but every time I see it and it doesn't show the summons, it doesn't look or feel like a Final Fantasy game to me. So, like, I forget about it because it doesn't feel very Final Fantasy.
Well, the combat, they're changing the combat in this one.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm kind of sad that they're changing the combat because I feel like Final Fantasy VII Remake was the perfect storm of the old school combat plus, your action RPG-ness mixed together. Yeah. It was a perfect marriage. It's what they've been trying to do, it feels like forever, and it feels a little sad they're abandoning that. I mean, I guess it'll be in the Final Fantasy Remake 2 Rebirth or whatever it is.
Whatever that's coming out.
But I don't know. I just kind of wish they would go on with that because I like the controlling 3 characters at once, and it looks like we're going back to the Final Fantasy 13 and 15 model of just you're one guy now.
Yes, you're one guy.
Which is a little bit sad. I miss the.
But they do have like party. 2 titans fighting in the trailer, and that's all you needed to show me to be like, yeah, I'm in.
I love the titans. I love the summons. Like I mean that all looks very Final Fantasy. It's just when it's just the one guy walking around, it doesn't look Final Fantasy to me. I don't know why. Like it just my eyes glaze over a little bit. I'm like, what?
What am I watching?
What is this? Is this
So yeah,
is this Forspoken too?
that's oh god, no, let's not go back to that. There's a DLC coming out for that for all those that played Forspoken and were like, I need more.
I need more empty brown worlds.
The last game was Spider-Man, which looked pretty amazing.
Pretty good. I'm
As
excited.
all Insomniac recent games are, they look fantastic.
I'm really excited for that. I still have to play the first Spider-Man game and
I
Miles
haven't
Morales.
played any of them, but like I'm really excited for this second one.
It looks really good, but the thing is, I showed my wife the trailer for it. She's in the middle of playing Batman Arkham City, and I don't know why she started Arkham City because she hated Arkham Asylum. And like I showed her the trailer for Spider-Man 2, and she's like, "No, it looks too much like Batman. I can't do it."
It's very. She is right. It's a very dark game.
Well, no, it's
Nope.
mechanically it's like Batman, where you're sneaking around and like doing
Oh.
sneak attacks and
Like
tying
that.
people up upside down on
Gotcha,
lines.
gotcha.
It's
That's only one way to do it. Like in Batman, that's the way you have to do it. This game, you don't have to be stealth if you don't want to. Anyway. So yeah, that Spider-Man looked good. And the final thing I wanted to bring up there is Sony's coming out with a handheld that looks bad. Why is like they
it's
chopped
it's not a handheld.
It is technically a handheld.
It is not. I mean, you technically hold it in your hands, but it is not a handheld. It's an iPad. It's an iPad mini with a PlayStation controller cut in half and glued to it. That doesn't run any apps. All it does is stream stuff from the PlayStation 5 you already have to have.
They got to be missing something here because your phone can do that already.
I know. Your phone can do it.
Like,
your iPad can do it.
Everything that's coming out with this handheld that they have I'm still going to call it a handheld because it is a handheld.
But it doesn't function. I can't call it a handheld because it doesn't function without the PlayStation 5.
What do you call it then?
It's an iPad that does nothing but stream the game.
No, that's not what that is. Not. It is definitely, by definition, has to be in handheld. It's in your hand. You're holding it.
But it doesn't function without the console.
Yeah, I know, but you're still holding it.
My Nintendo Switch functions without anything else. My Game Boy functions without anything else. My Game Boy Advance functions. My PSP functions without another console. I understand, but I mean, like, it doesn't function without the other device. It is a handheld streaming device. It is not a handheld. It does not function on its own merit.
Yeah, which is an odd decision. I don't know why they're making that. Maybe there's like some hidden stuff that they haven't revealed yet.
It was just like, oh, it's coming. That's all they said. But they said it requires the PlayStation 5 to work. So, I mean, if this is... it's not like a Steam Deck. Your Steam Deck also a handheld because it just works. It doesn't require anything else to work.
Sure, it just works.
That's why I don't consider this a handheld, because it doesn't work on its own.
You don't hold it in your hands. It's a feet held.
Well, I mean, like, it's not a handheld system because it's not a system.
Yeah, it's just like a screen.
It's a screen with a controller glued to it. Like it's all. I mean, DIYers could probably cut their own PlayStation controller in half and stick it to the side of their iPad. Fine. But the thing is, like, I've tried that remote play. Like, I did it in the same room with my PlayStation 5 on my same network on my computer, and the frame rate wasn't great. The response wasn't great. I've seen people do videos where they've done it from vacation, where they can remote into their PlayStation and it works. But I mean, like, their state of play wasn't that much better. It wasn't that much worse than mine, and mine wasn't great being in the same room. So unless this handheld has some way of making that experience better, I don't know why you would buy this, because you probably already have a phone and you already have a PlayStation controller you can sync to your phone.
Yes.
So
those didn't work. I don't know any much more about that. They didn't show much more about that, but I think it's gonna probably fail. Unless, something. Maybe they just announced it to see what feedback would be like, and then they'll adjust it as needed. Who knows?
I just don't. I mean, like, because it's got an 8-inch OLED screen, so they're probably gonna charge, like, I'm just ballparking $300 for it.
So if that, dude, those sold like 7 of them if they're $300.
I mean, it's a big OLED screen.
It's like a PS5 accessory.
The PlayStation controllers are almost $90 by themselves, and it's a special controller because it's split in half. And then the screen's probably,
Special controller because it's cut in half.
and then it's got a screen that's 8 inches. That they'll probably charge 200 for that. So 200 for the screen plus almost 100 for the controller. That's my ballpark. Is like a $300 non handheld
I don't think.
device.
I hope it's not any higher than $199.
I mean, that would be great if it was $199.
No,
But
it's not great. Neither you or me are gonna buy
no,
this.
no, I'm not gonna buy it. No, but I mean, like a $199 would be slightly more reasonable than $299. But I don't see it being under $299 personally. If it is, I'll be shocked. But still, like, why? I don't understand the need to buy this. It doesn't work independently, or
Maybe people just prefer handheld. It's for people who prefer handheld gaming.
I don't know why you'd prefer handheld gaming to actually gaming on it.
We don't have all the answers here, but we can speculate. Anyway, Wheel of Time season 2 is coming out September 1st.
It got a release date.
Release date, so get excited, man. That's for you, David. I wasn't sure if you knew about that one yet, but that's literally all the info we got. There's a couple pictures, and I don't know what I'm looking at, but it's September 1st.
You know what you're looking at, Brian? Something that probably wasn't in the book. If it's anything like season 1, you're seeing stuff that probably wasn't happening in the books.
Oh yeah, that's it. There's nothing more to say there. The last thing I wanted to bring up was Overwatch 2 PvE. Man, I was really rooting for you, Overwatch.
I don't have a hat to hold over my chest as like
I don't either.
As Amazing Grace plays as
we were rooting for you. We wanted you to be good, and now you just killed what you said you're making Overwatch 2 for.
Like I don't know. Like I don't like.
What were they doing? Well, what are they thinking? Well, I don't understand why they're just like, you know what, this is the best path forward.
It's like, you know what? Our fans don't hate us enough for Diablo Immortal. They're not on the fence enough about buying Diablo 4. You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna push them off the fence on the other side, so they don't buy any more of our stuff in the future. Because I was one of those fence sitters, and with this Overwatch 2 news, because I was like dubious. I was on the fence about the Overwatch 2 PvE too. I wanted to see it come out and see how it was gonna be. But like I am off the fence. I'm just like, Blizzard, you have to do so much work to win me back in any stretch of the imagination.
For anybody who I don't know who works at Blizzard anymore because all the good people left. But what does Blizzard need to do for you to be like, you know what? I'm back, baby.
I can't even quantify that at this moment. I am so turned off and burnt by Blizzard.
They burned you.
I'm not excited. I played the public beta of Diablo 4 for a second, and my skeletons were rubber banding worse than an automatic rubber band firing machine. It was bad. It was really bad. I mean, like, when it wasn't rubber banding, it was fun and fine, I guess, but we don't know how bad the monetization's going to be. I don't trust them. They're leaning super hard onto the seasonal aspect. We have to make a new character every 3 months, and I'm like, on Diablo 3, I waited months and months in between playing new seasons. Like, I never had felt the need to, like, I gotta make a new one right now. Like, their model for how they're doing the game is questionable.
For longevity.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I only the hardest of core Diablo fans will, like, sit there and make a new character every single season, for years. And, like, I need, like, a break from Diablo, because it's not that much different. Like, oh, it's slightly different cosmetics, which we probably won't even get in the seasons, because you probably have to buy the season pass to even get the different cosmetics for the season. So I'm like,
probably no. That's probably what makes the most sense. On top of paying $70 just for the game,
you have to pay for the seasons to get the new. So it's just like, the seasons weren't compelling enough for me to play free, much less for me to pay extra to play the seasons.
When it was more like when you wanted to play Diablo, just boot it up and we'll play for a little bit. Yeah. And now it's like, okay, now you gotta buy the $70 game, and now
I gotta pay $15,
whatever the heck the
$10
pass
or $15 for the battle pass to play the new season.
Probably there's probably going to be another pass. There's probably going to be multiple passes.
Well, you got your gym pass, you got your blood coin pass, you got your battle pass, you got your
And be like 8 different types of currency.
you got your cocaine pass.
Exactly. And then
If you're playing the druid who turns into a bear, you gotta have the cocaine pass because
exactly.
the cocaine bear is the most powerful
Cocaine
druid.
bear.
It's the most
It's a
powerful druid
bear.
form. The cocaine bear.
I bet you. What are the chances that they give a like all these companies now when they come out with a new game, it always comes along with we're sorry. We missed the mark. We didn't listen to our fans, and it happened for Jedi Survivor, Forspoken, Gollum. Every game that comes out now comes with like a PR response saying why they messed up.
Well,
Will that happen with Diablo?
The Apollo, yeah, I'm absolutely. And the thing is, they probably drafted this response during the alpha.
They already had it ready to go. We're sorry to our fans. We will be better. Sincerely, Blizzard Entertainment.
We will find more ways to extract money from your corpse. Thank you. Goodbye.
Yes. So,
and
that's we could talk about that forever, but we're not gonna, because we're gonna move on and talk about Star Wars. I mean, Spaceballs.
I mean, Star Trek. I mean, the Force. VHS tapes.
Yes, VHS tapes. Mr. Rental. Mr. Coffee. Mr. Radar.
We got to start calling all machines Mr. again, like Mr. Computer, Mr. Microphone.
Yeah, why not? Just bring it back. Why can't any of them be Mrs.? Huh? Why no Mrs.? Why no Mrs. Coffee?
I'm sorry, this is 2023. Everything will be Mrs. Everything will be Mrs.
Well, it doesn't all have to be Mrs. But
no,
it's cool.
It's 2023, and Disney is doing amazing things with tanking their reputation and firing their staff.
One
making movies that can't get above a 50% of Rotten Tomatoes.
No, one movie that I have hope for is a movie called Wish. It's to celebrate Disney's 100 years, and it's an animated movie. And I hope it's good, because I want to watch it, and I want to be brought back to that Disney magic, man. Wish. I'm wishing upon a star. That Wish will be good.
Brian, so, that star is crashing into the planet and will kill us all.
No. I hope for Disney to make 2 good movies this year. One was Guardians of the Galaxy, knocked it out of the park, and 2 was is Wish. Those are my 2 wishes. Do I get a third one from the genie? Is he gonna be in the movie? My third wish.
Can the third wish be like, can Disney make good movies more consistently instead of once or twice a year? That'd be nice.
I mean, well, not every movie can be good.
Yeah, but like, not every movie should be trash though. Like, there should be like a middle ground of like,
most
it wasn't
movies
great, but it was okay. Like, most movies should be okay.
Most movies should be like a 7 out of 10. That's what I think most movies should be. That's like average. Most movies should be average. Then there's some that are dip below. Then there's some that go above.
But
I don't know if that's a hot take.
I mean, I think that should be the hot take. I mean, that shouldn't be. It should be what it is. But
yeah,
most things have been so far below average lately.
There are quite a few.
The average bar is now like at 5.
The average bar is 5.
It's like slid down to 5 because everything's been so bad lately.
We should make like a graph of like everything we rated, and I bet you there's a downward trend with stuff that we rate. There's not a downward trend. We're going down. Actually, that's probably true. Well, I haven't done the math or anything.
Well,
I feel like there's a downward trend.
Well, back when we did like we did like 2 things. We gave like a 10 to like back to back, like Lord of the Rings and RRR or something like that. We gave them both like really high scores.
Well, I mean,
that's another thing. The actor who played the general guy, I can't remember his name. He's gonna be in Ahsoka, which is gonna be a fantastically bad show. He's rest in peace, Mr. Man.
Mr. Man?
Mr. Man who plays the bad guy. I can't remember his name. Ray Stevenson? Maybe that's his name.
I don't know. You could tell me his name. I'm not going to know. But yeah, you mentioned it to me that he passed away.
Yeah, that was my...
He was an RRR, his best performance.
Ray Stevenson, yeah, he was an RR. He was like, you know how much a bullet costs, son? A man in England has to make it. It has to go on a boat, man. A man has to go on an English boat. That's Ray Stevenson. That's his name. He passed away earlier this week or late last week.
Put a baseball cap over our heart.
Yeah, just like put a dark helmet over our whole body.
Exactly.
I'd say he wasn't that old. I think he was in his like 60s, maybe. Like he didn't look old. He looks great. He looked great in RRR. He's got a
Well, clearly
bigger.
something wasn't great.
He's got a bigger, bushier beard than Ahsoka, and Ahsoka's gonna be so good. I just feel bad for some of these actors who are like just gonna be in things that are just be garbage and start their last time they're seen on camera. Like poor Ray Liotta and Cocaine Bear, and poor Ray Stevenson and Ahsoka, because there's no way Ahsoka's gonna be good.
Hey, it's not out yet. We don't know. There's a trailer. I don't know. I haven't watched it. Might be good.
Disney made it in the last couple of years. The chances of it being good are slim.
Well, Mando's good, isn't it? Or what way? Or is this season? This season bad.
Season 3 was very bad. I stopped watching after the first episode. It was so bad. It was just like more Book of Boba Fett. I was like, oh my god,
Perfect. That's my favorite.
So bad.
My favorite character is still the biker gang. Of all Star Wars, it's the biker gang. They're my favorite characters.
The Vespas.
Yeah, the Vespa gang.
Oh, speaking of Vespa, this movie centers around Princess Vespa.
That's our segue into Spaceballs.
Spaceballs.
David, why don't you start off our ratings?
Our ratings
for Spaceballs.
So you texted me last night.
Yes.
And you were like, I don't like this movie as much as I remember liking this movie. And
yes.
And unfortunately, I'm in that same camp. I have to give this movie like a 7. It's okay. It's not terrible. It's not great.
Well, what would you, before watching it, what would you have given it?
Before watching it last night, I was probably going to give it like an 8 or a 9. Because, like, this movie is a classic to me. Like, even though I'm giving this a lower rating, this is still a classic movie to me. And I love it. And I will still probably watch it again and again and again. Because I love Spaceballs. I love Rick Moranis. I love the whole concept of the movie. It's well done. It's got pacing issues, though. This movie is not well paced at all. Like, that's a thing that's come up lately. I guess when I'm a kid, because I watched this movie a lot as a kid. When you're a kid and you're watching something, I don't know if you're aware of the pacing. It's like something's on TV, I'm watching it, and I'm laughing every now and then, therefore this is good. But this movie's paced really strangely. Like, I remember, like, they're like fighting the Mega Maid at the very end of the movie, and I paused it because I had to look at something, and there was still 20-something minutes left of the movie. I'm like, how is there still? They're in like the final part of the movie. How is there still 20-something minutes left when they're fighting this thing? It's like the movie is not as well paced as I remember, and we talked a lot about nostalgia last time on the show, and I think, and actually this actually happened after we turned the cameras off last time, but we started talking about parodies and how parodies, aren't great anymore, and that's why we wanted to get into the Spaceballs. And I think parodies might have an expiration date. Brian, what's your take on this film?
What? You're just gonna end?
Well, we can discuss.
Parodies have an expiration date. Goodbye.
We can have a discussion about it once you've said your piece.
So, just like you, I also was going to give this movie like a 8 or a 9 before I watched it, because I remember growing up, I watched this movie a ton of times too, and I always laughed, and I always thought it was funny. I didn't think much about it though, because I wasn't like, reviewing. I was just watching it because like, oh, hee, hoo, hoo, that's funny. And I still, again, just like you, will probably see this movie, I don't know how many more times in my life. Probably, I would imagine probably 6 more times before I'm dead, I'll probably see this movie. That's my guess. 6, I think, is a good...
That's fair.
6 more times. But after watching it, I'm going to give it 1 lower than you, David. I'm going to give it a 6. Ooh. Yeah,
but you just said all the movies should be like an average of 7. Do you think this is below your average?
I think it's a little below my average.
And you're willing to watch it again? I thought your rating was like, if it's like a 6 or below, you'd never want to see it again.
No, it's if it's 5 or below, I don't want to see it anymore.
Oh, the store, 5 or below?
5 or below.
You know they have a 5 and above section and 5.
I don't know what you're talking about.
The stupid junk store. It's like the dollar store, but it's like a $5.
It's a $5 store.
Yeah, it's a $5 store, but they have they have an above $5 section and
I don't go to stores. I buy online.
Well, I've unfortunately been inundated with some Five Below commercials online.
Oh my gosh!
Or they're now selling things above $5. I'm like, oh no!
What are we gonna do? They're gonna have to go to the Four Below.
It's gonna be slightly less junky now that it's more than $5. Thanks, Five Below.
You're changing the world. But yeah, I'm gonna give this movie a 6. Again, like you said, it has pacing issues. I was about, I don't know. At the time, I felt like I was like, oh, there can't be that much longer because as the same as you, I had to do something, and then I paused it, and there was still like 30 minutes left. I was like, what? There's 30 minutes still? It's like the only scene I could think of that was left was the giant maid scene when they were sucking all the air out of the plant. I was like, that's the only thing I could think of that was left, but there's still like 30 minutes left. So that also happened to me as well. But yeah, other than that, I mean, you know, the movie's still funny. There's still moments that I laughed at. That my favorite part is the background that you have. That's definitely my favorite part.
This is the best part of the movie. Like,
yeah.
It is timeless. I mean, except for the fact they're using VHS tapes. But the idea for the joke is absolutely timeless. It is well written, well executed, well acted, and absolutely amazing. And a genius idea to have the infinite camera like just shooting over. Like you can just see them. Like if this was higher definition, you could literally see it going forever with that camera trick with the camera being right at the TV. And it's brilliant. And the lines, oh man,
it's like what calls that? Who go because it's not they're not breaking the fourth wall because that's when you talk to the camera, but it's like they're aware there's something going on. I don't know what that's called.
Well, this is still technically breaking the fourth wall because they're aware they're in a movie. They're not talking to the audience, but they're talking. Well, Rick Moranis does like whenever he like
they show like movie crew and stuff every once in a while.
yeah. That's a Mel Brooks thing. Mel Brooks loves breaking the fourth wall. Robin Hood Men in Tights has a very similar scene. Like his movies have very similar scenes to them. They're just in different settings. Because Robin Hood Men in Tights also has a scene where like someone misses a jab with a sword and like kills like one of the crew making the film. Like I like Mel Brooks' humor. Mel Brooks also had a hand in writing the Get Smart series back in the day. I loved Get Smart.
Get Smart.
Mel Brooks.
Well, you say you love Get Smart, but when was the last time you watched Get Smart?
I don't know where to watch it anymore. Like it's not like last time I looked, it doesn't stream. Like last time I watched it was on Nick at Night, also as a kid. But this is a 30-minute TV show. There's no way it's gonna have like pacing issues in every single episode.
Probably, just most. Just most of them. Yeah, that's definitely the best scene in the movie. I also like the plaid scene when they're like, we must go to ludicrous mode, and then he's he like that stop, and they pull the lever, and he just goes straight into the like cabinets, or I don't know what the console. Whatever you call that, and he just gets up and he's just like, "Hey guys, how are you doing?"
Rick Moranis is a great actor. He stopped because he was like raising his kids or whatever. So it's kind of I hope he makes a comeback and like does some like comedy movies and stuff. I would love to see more Rick Moranis because he's a really good actor. He's got great.
Well, I don't know if he'll come back because he said that like he's stopping to raise his kids like 20 years ago.
He's got to make sure they're raised.
Well, I mean, they're definitely in their 20s now. Is he still raising them?
I don't know what he's doing. I know he was at a Mint Mobile commercial with Ryan Reynolds. So,
oh, perfect. So he is coming back. He's starting at the bottom. Well, I guess that's not the bottom, but like he's starting
Mint Mobile commercials with Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, and then he's gonna work his way up to like short form content. He's gonna work his way into some YouTube channels, and then he's gonna be back on the big screen with Brendan Fraser in The Mummy.
Oh yeah, the Mummy 16.
Yeah, Brendan Fraser and him.
Well, like the things that still made me laugh in this movie are like the timeless things, like you said the ludicrous speed thing. Like the plaid joke never landed for me, but like the slapstick nature of the thing, him being arrogant, that lands. I think the things that don't land as much are just some of the references, like references that are jokes, other things, they have an expiration date.
They do.
And like I never watched Velma, but I listened to a lot of people that did watch Velma, and like the thing is the references in that just like everyone said they weren't funny because they weren't popular enough or pervasive enough in regular pop culture for them to be gotten by most people, therefore it wasn't funny. Like the references didn't land because no one knew about them. In Spaceballs, they landed because they
It
were
worked.
everything, because they back in the 80s, like these were fresh movies. Like they made like Rocky 5000, a joke. They like the Forest and the Vulcan neck pinch. Like all this was like super deep in the zeitgeist.
Yeah.
Um
Well, this also was like when movies came out in like the 80s though, it's like that's all there was. There was movies in the 80s and that was like kind of it. Now it's like there's so much content everywhere and things go by so fast just because there's so much stuff all the time. Things are going to age out real fast. It's like
yeah,
6 months from now, jokes aren't even the same anymore cuz you'll see 75,000 memes in the first week of when a new joke comes out and then like by the later in the month it's dead because you've seen it
it's
like a billion
it's
times.
happened a lot of times, yeah. So like it's weird, like like comedy, referential comedy that's a parody. It's I seriously believe it has a lifespan. Like Monty Python and the Holy Grail is mostly slapstick. It doesn't seem like it's really referencing much. So Monty Python and the Holy Grail I think holds up better because it's not referencing other movies and other stuff like that. It's its own thing.
Yeah.
It's spoofing something that's already ancient. Like
It's spoofing the ideas, not like the actual like
yeah. So like
direct rip from stuff.
parody is a really interesting thing. Like because we were talking about it, and that's and I was like, oh, that's I was like, and we are talking about nostalgia last time. I was like, oh, this is interesting kind of topic. I wanted to talk about it, but you know, as we talking about Spaceballs, I do want to mention why we were talking about Spaceballs. Um, a friend on Facebook was offering Brian his copy, his very own copy of Spaceballs. And as Brian doesn't have Facebook, I, screenshotted the message and I sent it to Brian. And then Brian responded to me and I screenshotted the message and sent it back to our listener on Facebook. And he's like, yeah, it's fair. Because Brian was like, I don't want to watch Space Pirates. I didn't know.
To be fair, I do have a copy of it already.
I didn't know you already had a copy. So like our friend listener on Facebook was like, he was willing to give you his copy. So I just thought it was interesting, and he brought up to me, he's like, I don't think you guys have ever done Spaceballs. So I wanted to go ahead and credit him as we were doing Spaceballs for you, sir. Thank you for the inspiration.
Here we are with the Spaceballs.
Spaceballs. So I don't know. I don't know if you know this about Spaceballs. I went and did some like digging about Spaceballs. So,
Really?
For people who may not know, Spaceballs, when he went to George Lucas, when Mel Brooks went to George Lucas said he could make it, but he could not do any merchandising. Which is why there's the merchandising scene in the film. And after the merchandising scene happens, is why you see Spaceballs the spreadsheet, Spaceballs the placemat. Like you see other things after the scene. Spaceballs the toilet paper. Like that joke keeps running because
he said no.
Because he couldn't sell toys and stuff for the film. Yeah, so because George Lucas was a dick about it, he couldn't sell toys. So
Would he have any? I guess there probably would be grounds for copying, but like,
I guess they would look too similar. I'm like, there's no way. I mean, like Dark Helmet looks like Darth Vader, but like honestly, he looks more like a pop of Darth Vader than actual Darth Vader. And they didn't.
It looks like a Funko Pop.
They didn't have Funko Pops back then.
Exactly.
So I mean, like, I don't really know. Like, it's just. I don't know. I feel.
I mean, besides, he's just I think it's really just the helmet.
Yeah.
The helmet is kind of like what's similar. It's got like that like
the silhouette's similar. It's just proportioned completely wrong.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. It's proportioned wrong. I don't know. I'm surprised. Is there no merchandise for Spaceballs?
At least there wasn't. I'm sure people like on like
maybe now there is.
Like Redbubble, you can probably buy Spaceballs stuff on like Redbubble now. Like the.
Well, they just steal stuff.
Yeah.
Redbubble is not a good website to buy stuff from.
Well, I'm just saying. I'm like, I don't think there's any official Spaceballs merchandise, or at least there wasn't in the '80s, because that was like the deal they struck with George Lucas.
Was that like signed contract? Do you know, or was it just like, yeah, man, just don't do any merchandise?
Oh, I'm sure there had to be some kind of the video what I didn't say it, but I mean like for legalese, I'm sure there had to be something signed somewhere to get the rights to parody Star Wars, and like it was probably in the agreement or whatever, no merchandise, probably something like that in the setup. So
Yeah.
also what I thought was amazing, Pizza the Hutt's costume was actually made of pizza.
Is it really?
Yes, and they had multiple people play Pizza the Hut because it was such a uncomfortable and hot costume to be inside of. Because I don't know how they didn't explain exactly how it was.
The costume in the 80s, man, that was just different. Nowadays, everything looks kind of like smoothed over, and it's like it's like, yeah, that's gross, but like whatever. The Pizza the Hut and stuff, there's like stuff dripping and stuff off of them. It's gross.
It's actual pizza, so I don't know how the suit was constructed, like underneath, but there was, I guessing, some sort of like frame, and on top of the frame there was heaters that would heat up the pizza and make it melt and bubble, and that's how the guy like started eating. I just thought like maybe it was a prop and he was like fake eating it, or like just put it in his cheek or something. Like whenever he's like, "You taste delicious."
He's just eating pizza.
No, he was legit eating pizza, melting off some guy in a costume. I'm like, wow, that is amazing. That it was
Who came up with that idea? They're like, also just the name in general, Pizza the Hut. That's a great name too. I'm surprised Pizza Hut didn't sue them. Did Pizza Hut allow this?
Well, I mean, like it's not pizza. It's Pizza the Hut. So
yeah, that is true. But that people have sued people for less.
Yeah.
Like Monster Energy drink sues people if you just have Monster in the title of anything. So
of course they do.
That's funny. That's really Pizza Pizza the Hut. Hello, my baby. That always brings me. Well, every time I think of Pizza the Hut, it's always the ending where it's like, "Hello, my baby.
Hello, my honey." It's like
I want to eat at that diner.
It's like both. The Millennium Falcon is actually parked in that parking lot too.
Is it really?
Yeah. Go pause. Go pause it, and you can see the Millennium Falcon sitting there.
I'll have to rewatch it. The next time I only have 6 watches left before I'm dead. I'll have to remember to watch that my next one.
Look for the Millennium Falcon. Yeah, it's there. It's just it's a matte painting, so it's not like perfectly the Millennium Falcon, but it's
well, sure. I mean, they did paintings. That's how they did stuff.
Yeah, matte painting, and the special effects still hold up pretty good. I mean, like they are ILM, like people that did Star Wars worked on this movie. Like, that's why the models for the Mega Maid and everything look as good as they do. And the special
effects. Crazy, even the lightsabers look, well, I mean, the light beam looks a lot better than what it did. The Schwartzsabers.
Like
they look a lot better from the original Star Wars. Now it's a little like if you watch the original Star Wars, the lightsabers are a little rough. But now, when you watched it in Spaceballs, they were not too bad. Now if you watch like Star Wars on like Disney Plus or whatever, there's like remastered editions where it like looks fine.
They redid the special effects. Yeah, Spaceballs is still the OG special effects, and where Spaceballs holds up the most is all like the slapstick humor, the like the getting your balls hit like that always lands for guys. It's always funny. Like in.
I think it's just always funny.
It's always funny, and the first guy's like, "No, don't!" And he's like, he shoots him in the ball. He does like a ball crush or whatever with the Schwartz, and the guy falls over. And every single time anyone thinks Darth Helmet might be mad, they just all go. They just like put their hands in front of their balls.
There's a scene where he's is he in the desert? When he's in the desert and his right hand man there. He just puts the
Colonel Sanders.
Yeah, that's it. Colonel
What's
Sanders
puts Colonel Sanders.
He puts on the ring, and he like just waves it around, and Colonel Sanders is standing there, just immediately just. He's like, he's not. Darth Helmet is not doing anything where he's gonna hurt anybody, but it's just funny to see. It's like we don't know what this guy's gonna do.
He's a little unstable. He's unpredictable because he's Rick Moranis.
It's not even Darth Helmet, it's just Rick Moranis. We don't know what he's capable of, man.
We don't know.
That's great.
So I know you're not a huge Star Trek fan. We're slowly working our way through Deep Space Nine. We got to do season 2 at some point.
Someday.
We got to get hopefully soon. But I got to get Stuart in. I got to rewatch season 2. You got to watch season 2 at all. So we are going to work on that. But beyond the Vulcan neck pinch and the snotty reference and the beaming reference, there is another Star Trek reference that they didn't even know was a Star Trek reference in the film.
Well, then it wasn't a Star Trek reference.
Well, it's not a Star Trek reference, but there's a Star Trek actor in the film who wasn't in Star Trek yet.
Oh, okay. Are you going to expand on this, or is that
absolutely?
Okay.
People who know Star Trek, who've watched the episode of the past, they know who he is. But Brian, for you,
I'm not going to know.
The guy who's got the small like afro comb is like when they're combing the desert, and they're like, "We ain't found shit." That is Commander Tuvok from Star Trek Voyager. He plays a Vulcan. And he never says we ain't finding shit in Star Trek, so that's kind of sad. But
got it. Wouldn't have guessed that one.
Tuvok, yeah, and Tuvok was actually in the season 3 of Picard.
Yeah, it's Spaceballs, bringing it back.
Spaceballs, and we got Dune deserts. Like, so I mean, like they didn't make any Dune jokes though, which I'm a little bit.
Dune, I think that's okay. Dune wasn't really like a thing.
Dune came out in 84. I think this was 86 or 88. Like, they had time to make a Dune jokes. I mean, the book's been around for forever, though.
That's true, I guess. I don't know. Was Dune a big thing in the 80s? I feel like that movie kind of came out and nobody watched it.
Yes, I don't know.
It also wasn't the greatest movie either.
How dare you, Brian? Why would you say Dune isn't a great movie?
The one from the 80s?
Yeah.
I'm not going to expand on that. We all know that it's not the greatest. We all know that it's not the greatest.
I don't know. Like, I like the look of that movie. Like, I love the costuming and the fact that Patrick Stewart's in it. Hail Gertie. Another Star Trek reference.
Yeah, there is Patrick Stewart is in the movie. You are right.
And they have
their big squares. They have the greatest shields.
They're big square shields. Well, they look like weird Gumby.
Exactly. That was always wonderful.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. It's Spaceballs. It is a super surface level movie, so there's not too much to like dive into besides like scenes and stuff that we enjoyed. I was gonna bring up the scene that's your background, but my two favorite scenes in the movie are both our backgrounds.
They're both our backgrounds. Yogurt.
Yeah, so those are my two favorite. Do you have a favorite scene? This has got your background's got to be your favorite scene. I feel like that's anybody who watches Spaceballs. You're like, yeah, that's the best one.
That's the best scene. It is a timeless scene. Like I said earlier, it's
great.
It's perfect. It's really is perfect.
Maybe they'll make another Spaceballs movie, and Ray will be in it.
Oh yeah, Ray will be the new Lone Star.
Yeah, I'll watch it.
Maybe that's Ray in the Millennium Falcon at the end of.
She might have not been born yet.
No, but the character Ray. I'm not saying it's not Daisy Ridley, but it's a character.
Oh, okay.
Ray. This is after Han Solo is dead, maybe. Because theoretically, they take place in the same universe if the Millennium Falcon's there, right?
That's how that works.
And the same as Star Trek one, because they make all the Star Trek references. The Vulcan neck pinch, and technically is right.
So then, where's Darth Helmet in? They should just bring. You know what they should do? Bring Darth Helmet into the next Star Wars movie. Make him the villain. That's what they should do.
He's Kylo Ren, but he's Dark Helmet. I mean, that's what Kylo Ren was basically. Dark Helmet.
He's Darth Helmet.
Well, he had the helmet for no reason, just like Dark Helmet. Darth Vader has the helmet because he has to breathe. Dark Helmet has it just to look like Darth Vader, and that's the reason Kylo Ren has one, is so he could be like Darth Vader.
That's true. If you break it down that way, you are right.
Because Kylo Ren is a Darth Vader simp.
Oh boy. Well, David,
if you want to get serious, I would
suggest anybody to go watch Spaceballs if you haven't seen it.
Even though you rated it a 6, Brian, you're gonna recommend Spaceballs.
Why am I being chastised for my ratings here? It's how I feel, man.
I know.
It's how I feel.
I understand. It's how I feel too. But it's just funny that you're rating a movie below average for yourself, and you're still recommending it, which I just find interesting.
Yeah, it's below average. I would rate Monty Python higher, I think. I haven't seen that in a long time either.
That's true. It's like it's weird, and I also wanted to touch on Galaxy Quest too, because I had mentioned it before we'd gotten started. Is that Galaxy Quest I think holds up better, but it's also like 20ish.
It's way
It's
newer.
also 20ish years newer, which is why I'm thinking like maybe there's
That was like 2001, wasn't it? I could be totally wrong. I'm not too wrong, but I know it's somewhere around
it's
there.
either early 2000s or late 90s, I think.
Yeah.
Galaxy Quest was. So it's like at least got 15 to 20 years on Spaceballs. So that's why I was wondering. I think parody has an expiration date. When it's super referential parody, I think it has an expiration date in the zeitgeist. Because like the Rocky joke just didn't land. Some of the other like really specific jokes in Spaceballs to like things that were big in the 80s didn't land as hard. The slapstick landed. The Mr. the Mr. Videotape player scene registered because it's timeless. I mean, if if those were
besides the VHSs.
but I mean, they could have been Blu-rays, and those media always changes. You know what I mean? So I mean, like, it doesn't really matter what they are. It's just a form of physical media, and it's like
I get.
it could have been Mr. Streamer. It comes straight to streaming. But I mean, like, the joke still lands, whether or not the medium, whatever the medium is.
Yes, that is technically true.
Yeah, because
I will on a technicality, I will give you that.
Well, yeah, because the medium doesn't matter, because the joke will still be funny no matter what, because it's well executed.
As long as you know what a VHS is.
Well, it's like, I guess if you know how to watch the movie, maybe it doesn't land for youngins. I don't know.
I don't know. I don't think it would land as well if you don't know what a VHS is, and I don't think younger folks nowadays even know what a VHS player is.
Well, they should watch Red Letter Media because they run a VCR repair company.
Yeah, you and me both know Red Letter Media's like demographic is not young.
It's not the TikTokers and Zoomers.
No, the Zoomers are not watching an hour video. Dude, they only watch like
TikToks.
30 seconds. After that, it's done. Their attention span's out of here. I'm not saying my attention span is perfect either, but I think I have a pretty good one. Anyway,
it's bizarre. Like, just talking about the young kids and stuff. My brother is a big Hokies fan, and they play Enter Sandman in front of the Hokies games, the football. It's a college team, Virginia Tech. And so when Metallica put out their new 72 Seasons album, I was like, "Hey, did you listen to the new 72 Seasons album?" He's like, "I don't really like Metallica." And I'm like, you go to the Hokies game, and you always hear Enter Sandman. You don't like Metallica? He goes, well, that's the only Metallica song I like. And so I sent him like one of my favorite ones from the album. He's like, the song's too long. I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, why do you want your stuff to be over in 30 seconds?
Because it's time to go to the next thing.
Oh man. You're gonna run
Gotta
out of
jam as much. You got 30 seconds. Jam as much information as you can into it. Anyway, yeah.
We got the Space Jam.
Yeah.
All we got is Dirty D's. We're the Spaceball Jam.
Yep. David will be making his own album. We'll be putting it up on the channel.
Spaceballs album. I like the space. I ironically like the Spaceball song at the end of the film when they're doing the escape scene.
That's not bad.
Yeah,
I don't like. I'm not gonna like listen to it constantly.
No. I mean, I'm not gonna listen to it constantly, but it's legit. Decent. It fits the film. It's pretty fun.
It works.
It works.
It works. So yeah, Spaceballs.
Go see. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. I mean, it's not your fastest paced movie ever, but it's got good Star Wars references and other sci-fi references, and it's a fun film, even with the pacing issues.
There's a lot of references. If depending on your age, there's a lot of references you probably won't get.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, I get a lot of the references, and like they don't land anymore. What do you guys think? Do you guys think that the parody has an expiration date? Does parody just stop being funny at a certain point? Or is it timeless? As I said earlier, I believe slapstick is kind of timeless depending on how it is, and like the scene like this that doesn't super rely on anything, but the well executed comedic timing of the actors and the well written lines, like that kind of stuff is timeless because it's not really referencing anything except for VHS tapes. But media is media, so I think it works.
Parody lasts for I think it expires after a year.
Really?
For new stuff. New stuff. If I was to make a parody movie now, I think it would expire after about a year. I think things move too fast.
I mean, parody does, but I mean, like some like newer parodies, like Meet the Spartans and like Not Another Teen Movie and stuff like that. Like some of these were like barely funny the day they came out.
Well, I'm saying if there was one that is funny, if they ever decide, whoever is in the power to make a new one, I think it would be funny if they made it good for about a year, and then after that, all the references would feel like they're like 30 years old, and nobody would care anymore. That's my thought.
Have you seen Galaxy Quest recently?
No.
Because
I watched it last week.
Well, because I mean, like we watched like a year or so ago, and I felt like it held up really well.
Well, that still works. That I think that's still from a time where that works. So I don't think it would work nowadays.
So you think parody just doesn't work nowadays? If it's
I think maybe
referencing something.
2015 is when stuff started moving really fast. Like we were just like I talked about with like memes and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Things go by so fast. It's just like, you know, Harambe memes, man. I still make them, but everybody hates them.
Remember Harambe?
Exactly. We'll never forget them. We'll never forget them. But anybody who's listening just heard that was like, oh my God, I haven't heard that in forever. And then you look up and you're like, wait, Harambe was only from like 5 years ago or 7 years ago or whatever. And then we watch Spaceballs and you're like, they're still pulling out stuff that just works for that time period.
Yeah.
And that's like, 35 years ago.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's just strange, and I wonder if that's why we're not seeing as many parody films anymore. Well, that and like just
there's probably a lot of greed to it too. It's like, if you're gonna use my property, I want 80% of the revenue.
But also just the whole modern audience thing. It's like Hollywood's so scared to offend anybody that like.
There's that too.
Like there's like things are humorless and like women are sexless. They're just like dressing them up like men now, and they're just all like ever boxy and boring. Like it's bizarre. We live in bizarre times.
Well, do you think? I don't know if I would like to know if this is true or not. No, I don't think it feels like it might make sense, but I don't think neither one of us know the actual answer to this. When they make, if somebody were to make a movie and make it how like where it's potential where it could offend somebody in the now times, is that movie going to make less money because of that, or are people just complaining on Twitter and it doesn't matter? Because Hogwarts Legacy, people really complained, and that game is going to make more money than any game that's going to come out this year. That game made over $1 billion. So for all that complaining that happened, it did nothing but either boost the sales or didn't even affect the sales. Because I don't know what the game would have made if there was no controversy.
Well, the problem is Twitter is not a good or accurate representation of like America.
Well, the internet's not. People just complain on the internet no matter where you are.
Well, yeah, I mean, people complain on the internet, but I mean, like, I'm on Twitter, but I don't like really use Twitter. And that's the thing. Like, there's probably a lot of people on Twitter, but how many people of those are like the actual hardcore users? It's pretty small. And like the Twitter echo chamber doesn't like, it only reflects like a small demographic of people.
Yeah.
So like, especially now that Elon Musk has taken it over, it's definitely Twitter's gone.
Well, it doesn't have anything to do with him or anything. It's just like whether it's Twitter, whether it's Facebook, whether it's Instagram, whether it's TikTok. It's no matter where people complain, is that affecting how much? Is the movie making less money because people are complaining online, or is it just people complaining and they don't care?
Well,
because the people that were going to see it aren't probably going to be convinced not to see it because somebody complained on Twitter.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I don't think enough stuff comes out that's offensive enough to. Everything is so bland and homogenized now, which is why everything is just tick boxes. Like Wheel of Time was tick boxes, Star Wars is tick boxes, most MCU stuff is tick box. Everything is just so like manufactured in this like sterile, boring environment that it's just like we're gonna get we got to film all these tick boxes. So we're not telling a story anymore. We can't tell jokes anymore that aren't just like bad self-referential jokes that are just like just making light of the situation we're in. That completely takes us out of like the stakes that we're currently trying to feel. Like as was a little bit problem with Thor. Like they were like, especially the most recent one, there's a lot of like just overly slapstick stuff just thrown into scenes that were like serious. Like
Sure.
people have cancer and we're dying. I'm killing all the gods because my daughter died. And we're doing all this like slapstick stuff around it. Like the tone just doesn't work. Doesn't work, and things are feeling more and more soulless. And like I think we gotta ask. Like, you're asking an interesting question. Like, does the people complaining on Twitter matter? I think movies are being made for the people who are complaining on Twitter, but there's not enough of them for the movies to be successful because
Yeah.
look at all like it's like the movies are being catered to the smallest percentage of people,
Lowest
and
common denominator. It's like the 1% of the 1% that are complaining about the movie hardcore are the ones that are like
that the movie
dictating
it's
how movies are being made.
and it's who are listening, and it's who the movie studios are listening to. And I'm like all these Disney movies like Peter Pan and Wendy is getting like abysmally reviewed. Indiana Jones also, like it's a month before it comes out. Like it's like around 55% or less on Rotten Tomatoes last time I checked. And like it's got a month before it comes out. It's got a full review embargo lifted. It's got no restrictions talking about it basically. It's got a month before it comes out. It's getting just ravaged. Like Little Mermaid isn't doing great in reviews either. Like there's a lot. It's just like it just feels like everything Disney's putting out is catering to this like Twitter mob of
Yeah.
like give us this and this. And like the
Well, there's a
media,
lot more that I'm sure there's a lot more going on than just like the Twitter mob. I'm sure it's a very complex situation that we don't
it
know. Even for like this writer strike that we were talking about, it's probably a far more complicated issue that that only a few people really understand. You really probably got to be part of the writing guild to really understand what's going on.
well, they're trying to get rid of AI. They want to have multiple writers on the same project because the thing is, the problem with the writer strike is that once the streaming bubbled, when the COVID happened and we had the pandemic, streaming bubbled because people stopped wanting to make movies. Like so they started doing streaming, and all these streaming services started like rapid fire opening up and trying to get big. So there was a giant need for new writers and new people. But now streaming services are bombing hard, and they're trying to like sell their stuff to other companies, to other people to stream it, so they can get that revenue from like licensing their stuff for other people to stream. That is, and they're pulling back on new series. I know Disney's like trying to shave money off of Disney Plus. So like there's too many writers and not enough things to write. So part of their negotiations, they're trying to get like six writers or X number of writers per project. And I'm like, you don't always need that, especially when things are only like 10 episodes long. Like didn't James Gunn write most of the Peacemaker episodes?
Yeah, well, I mean,
Yeah,
James Gunn is. James Gunn is kind of like the top tier when it comes to that kind. Like he's writing the Superman movie by himself. It's like there's some stuff
that's what I'm saying. But the thing is, when you write things by committee, that is also a problem because it's like, well, I don't. If you get six people like all writing the same, multiple thing, a series that's only 10 episodes long, because most things don't go past that. Like you don't need that many writers, but they're trying.
You don't.
But they want all these like really unreasonable things. I mean, some of the things are reasonable, like decent pay, residuals, like that's fine. But some of their other demands are kind of like they're just trying to fit a square peg into a round hole because of this streaming bubble burst where there's too many writers and not enough jobs. So they're trying to like keep everyone employed.
It's a complicated situation.
It's complicated, and some of the things they want are reasonable. Some of the things they want are absolutely insane. So I don't know. And if it's mandated that things have to have six writers on them now, what happens to the singular vision, like James Gunn? Because I think he wrote like 60%, I think, of the
He can just do whatever he
wants.
He has so much power at this point where he can just kind of do whatever he wants.
Well, but I don't want just stuff from James. I want other good writers to have sole control over stuff. I don't want these.
Well, I would imagine most of the writers probably that even on shows and movies that we don't like, I would imagine the writers writing it are probably being told kind of like this is the direction we have to go in. I'm sure they understand like what they're writing isn't like it might not be that good, but they're being told that that's just what they have to do. Otherwise, they can't. They're not going to be able to work on the project. I'm sure that happens all the time. Absolutely all the time.
Yeah, I mean that's also a good question. It's like, I complain about writing a lot with Wheel of Time, Rings of Power, but how much of that is the writers and how much of that is studio telling them what to
You
do?
have to hit these check boxes, or you have to do this certain thing.
I don't know.
And they just have to like weasel it in.
I don't know. I don't know if it's both of
That's
them that want the tick boxes or what. It's unclear.
Yeah.
But
well, even the way we talked about the way the Oscars have to run now. If you want to qualify for an Oscar, like you have to hit certain check boxes. It's like you have to have like people from, besides having like a white person, you have to have somebody that's in a underrepresented group or something like that, which means not white. Yeah, one of your like lead actors has to like not be a white male, or it's like, and it sounds crazy, but like there's an Oscar page that like I showed you, and it's like there's like 10 things you have to hit, and it's all like you have to include these types of people, you have to have these X amount of writers, these kind of actors, and it's just to qualify for an Oscar, which is insane to me.
Yeah, the Oscar rules are just gonna torpedo any creative goodness in films. For it, like the Oscars is now the tick box generator. You must
there's literally tick boxes you have to hit to like qualify,
and
which is crazy.
You need to get away from, it is what it is. We need to get away from tick boxes.
No more.
Like 1966 Star Trek. We had,
oh boy, here we
go. we had Uhura, a black woman on the ship. We had Chekhov, a Russian. America hated the Russians. We had a Russian on the bridge. We had a Japanese man on the bridge. We had an alien on the bridge, and we had a guy from Iowa on the bridge. And this was radical at the time. But the thing is, Star Trek, they didn't write episodes like, oh, her is black and she's on the bridge and this is important. Or they like, oh, this guy's Russian. This like they didn't write stories that way. They just put the inclusion in. They casted it that way. They wrote the characters to be inclusive characters, and then they just wrote stories with these people in them. Nowadays, it's like the story's got to be about the tick box, and I'm just like, no, that's not how stories work. You can be diverse. You can have your representation and everything, and you can still tell a good story. But they're not telling good stories anymore. They're just filming tick boxes, and it's absolutely maddening.
Nuts.
Like Rings of Power. Like even if they had like 50 black actors playing dwarves and elves, it wouldn't have changed the writing being absolute garbage. But the fact is, there was one black elf and one black dwarf, and it feels worse that there's only one of each. It's like tokenism. It's like literally
Tolkienism.
Tolkienism. Yeah, it's Tolkienism. No. It's just like, it's like, so you're breaking the lore by like just inserting other races in, but you're only doing one. It's like what it feels even more out of place. They just shoehorned in a black elf and a black dwarf. And I'm just like,
yeah.
And they like all these people are like, this is historical. I'm the first black dwarf in Middle Earth, and I'm the first black elf in Middle Earth. And I'm just like, okay, why aren't there more? If you're like, if this is so important, why is there just one?
Oh man. Well,
I don't know. It feels worse. You know what I mean?
I'm glad everybody enjoyed our Spaceballs podcast.
Like it just brought up all sorts of other things. Like I don't know. Like I mean, not every show has got to be just about like the thing. I like talking about topics, and this helped bring up other topics.
Well, we're philosophers
writing.
Today.
It's fun getting into philosophy. It's fun. It's not just we're not just talking about mindless things. We're like getting into the weeds. I like getting into the weeds. We had one episode where we had Kipley Brown on, and we started talking about the double slit experiment for an hour.
Well, that's That's the topic.
We started talking about physics and stuff like that, and reality, the perception of reality. It's fun to get philosophical and like not just talking about Star Wars, Star Trek, Lord of the Rings, Avatar. Woo!
The greatest IP ever created.
Oh, do you have your derpy Jake Sully on your desk?
Oh, wait, I can show you. Hold on, everybody.
Hold on, everybody. Brian. So, Brian started a tradition among the two of us.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, they don't really show too good.
You have to keep them in front of your body. Yeah, Jake Sully and Jake Sully Avatar. So. Yeah. When I got married, Brian was one of my groomsmen, and his wedding gift was a Neil Breen film. and this started the realm of cursed gift giving. So for his birthday, I buy him really cursed Steam games whenever there's a Steam sale. But for his birthday, I got him the derpiest Avatar thing I could
Jake
find.
Sully in a wheelchair.
Because Brian loves his Avatar.
I do love my
also
Avatar.
Got him a Yamper butt mouse pad for Christmas.
Christmas. I don't have that handy to show, but I do have that.
So we do cursed gifts, which is fun. So if you have friends, you should do cursed gifts and try to make them.
They are fun.
It's pretty funny. All right, guys. Well, I hope you enjoyed.
Brandon on a high note.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of News, Spaceballs, and Philosophy.
That's the title right there.
Let us know what you guys think. I mean, Brian's gonna ask you to email us.
I am. I was waiting for, I was just going to interrupt, but if you're going to give me my own moment, email us at synthaholics@yahoo.com. David just told me he deleted 200 emails because we got a lot of spam. I don't know if there's any real ones in there, but if there was and we didn't read it, it's because David deleted it and it's his fault. I understand that sending emails is annoying. It's for work. Nobody wants to do it. It's way better to comment. And I agree with you. However, send the email because I just want an email.
Yeah, we will read the email on the episode if you guys want to send us an email. So yeah, we will read it and we will comment on it. Because I want to know what you guys think, especially in the comments.
It depends what's in the email. Sometimes I don't know. I don't know what you're gonna put in an email, but we could read it. But we also don't want to get banned. Yeah, we are here as mere mortals to the platforms that provide for us. However, David and I both have to tone ourselves down. When we are not podcasting, we would get banned off of most platforms. But here, we have to tone it down.
Yeah, we do tone ourselves down a little bit now that we are on multiple platforms. Before, in the days before video, we were just on the yield listening, so we could say whatever we wanted, and it was liberating. But now that we're on the yield YouTubes and the yield Twitches, we have overlords we must not piss off.
Don't want to get banned. But yeah, email David at synthaholics@yahoo.com. Yeah, I recommend Spaceballs. Yeah.
Tell us what you think about parody. Does it have an expiration date? I think so. Brian thinks so. We want to hear what you have to say. You can also comment in the yield comments below if that's your deal too. Until next time, David and Dark Helmet Brian out.
I'm out. Yeah, I'm Dark Helmet now. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. May the Schwartz be with you.
Oh, boy.